Rahim. Just like good motives have good outcomes, and much of what we achieve has to do with our intentions and motives. You've all heard the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Deeds are judged and compensated and treated based on their intentions. So yesterday we heard about someone who had a good intention and made some effort, and how it got him saved. Similarly, if a person has the wrong motive or the wrong intention, it can have an adverse effect on their own outcomes. The Quran mentions a story of this in Surah Al-Qalam, where there was a man, a wealthy and pious man, who had this massive orchard. And he had a habit of allowing people to pick up the fruit that had fallen before the harvest. In other words, if there was fruit that had fallen from the trees, then before harvest, he would allow people to come and collect whatever they wanted. He would not charge them anything for it, and he would just harvest whatever fruit was on the trees. So when he passed away, he advised his sons to do the same thing, to allow this to continue. The sons got together and said, that is a lot of fruit that falls by itself. If we let poor people come and take it all, then that's a huge loss. If we were to sell the same fruit, we could make so much more profit. He said, well, how do we contend with this? How do we deal with this when people have made it a habit? At every harvest they come, the day of the harvest, they come in the early part of the day and they collect whatever is there. So they said the only way to do this is we get there before everyone else. So let's leave in the middle of the night and we'll get there, we'll collect all the fruit. So even if those people come, they'll find that there's nothing to pick up. And they will leave and they will understand that this is no longer going to be a practice. So these three brothers left in the middle of the night to salvage whatever they could, to collect whatever fruit they could before the poor and the needy came. But when they started walking, they felt like they were going in circles. And they were not able to find their farm. They looked and tried and looked and tried. And they said, looks like we're lost. And they're wondering, how could we be lost? This is our own farm. And after some confusion and walking around in the dark for some time, they realized that they were at their farm. It was just that they don't recognize it anymore because there was not much of a farm left to look at. What had happened is that something had come and annihilated, completely wiped out that entire orchard. And there was nothing left but twigs and sticks falling that were laying, strewn around on the ground. And they said, how did this happen? The Quran describes this, that فَطَافَ عَلَيْهَا طَائِفٌ مِّن رَبِّكَ وَهُمْ نَائِمُونَ. While they were still sleeping, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a storm that went and wiped out the entire crop. فَأَصْبَحَتْ كَالصَّرِيمِ. And it was like a farm that had already been harvested. There was nothing left. Then they realized that, oh, we're not lost. We have been deprived of this. بَلْ نَحْنُ مَحْرُومُونَ. And then the middle brother spoke out. He said, see, I told you so, I told you so. But by then it was too late. So this is an example of someone who had set out with the wrong intention, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed the effects of that wrong intention. What was the wrong intention? It was to basically become a little bit greedy and take something that poor people were expecting to receive from them. And how many hearts would that have broken? How many homes would have been left without food that day or that week or that month? And how much damage would have been done? So just for the sake of greed, when they set out on this mission, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command came down and wiped out everything. Similarly, the Prophet ﷺ mentions in a hadith that a group of people will be coming, يَغْزُو جَيْشٌ الْكَعْبَةِ فَإِذَا كَانُوا بِبَيْدَاءَ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ يُخْسَفُ بِأَوَّلِهِمْ وَآخِرِهِمْ. A group will be coming in the form of an army to attack the Kaaba, to lay an attack on the Kaaba. And while they will be in this flat area outside of Makkah, Bayda, flat plains, the ground will open up and swallow all of them. Everyone. So one of the wives of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked, O Prophet of Allah, why would all of them be swallowed by the earth? وَفِيهِمْ أَسْوَاقُهُمْ وَمَنْ لَيْسَ مِنْهُمْ. Even though the habit is that whenever any caravan moves, usually people join. People who are traveling independently, they used to join for the sake of protection, for the sake of, for safety. So there might be many other people, there might be merchants who are also coming into Makkah just to sell merchandise. There may be individuals that are just traveling on their own. Why would everyone be swallowed? So the Prophet ﷺ said, يُخْصَفُ بِأَوَّلِهِمْ وَآخِرِهِمْ ثُمَّ يُبْعَثُونَ عَلَى نِيَّاتِهِمْ. In dunya, the effects will take place and everyone who was a part of that group will be taken to task. In akhirah, they will all be raised according to what their motives were. So that we learn that our motives, A, they have an effect on us in dunya, and secondly, they can have an effect on the people around us as well. So it becomes so crucial for us to keep checking our intention, to keep checking our motive. Why am I doing such and such thing? What are my goals? Do I have good, pure goals? Are my goals and intentions such that I could say them to someone that I really care about, or someone who really cares about me, and they would be okay with it? Or is my goal such a thing that I would be ashamed to share with someone? That's one of the ways we can look at it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our intentions and enable us every day to keep intending to get closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and move further and further away from those acts that displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa